the 2020 champions, the LA Lakers. Right now, they're having a bit of an identity crisis. You got a headline for us about AD maybe setting some fires in the locker room.
I do. Last night, the Lakers blown out at home by the Timberwolves at Staples Center. They lost 107-83. Really a humiliating loss. And after the game, Anthony Davis said, quote, "We've got to decide who we want to be. A championship team? That's not us right now. We're not a championship team the way we're playing. We've got to be better, and we've got to care more for our wins at home, wins in general." That was embarrassing. So, guys, is AD right? The Lakers obviously right now are not playing like a championship team.
This team was not assembled to be a championship.
But will they ever reach that level? That's the question.
It all goes back to a really poor offseason.
Yeah.
Because you look at this team that had AD, you had Schroeder, however you want to pronounce it. He walks, and you've got a point guard hole. And I don't know why you didn't go after more of a shooting point guard. We see Lonzo move to Chicago. You got to think, why didn't the Lakers take a sniff? Instead, they go in the direction of Westbrook, who, is known for being a slasher, but that's not what this team needs. This team can get, before they sign Westbrook, can get interior buckets. And they add him instead of a shooting point guard, doesn't really make sense to me. And then, thinking of another, maybe I don't want to say marquee move, but Melo's been playing really well this year. We'll give that to him. I'm a big Melo guy. I've always loved him. But that's not a guy you need on this team. It's not a spark plug in terms of offense. He's been shooting very well. I think he's shooting, in the 60s over his past 2 games from the field.
Yeah, he had a bad game last night. He's been phenomenal since he's gotten there.
So, you're happy that Melo's panning out the way he is, but it's not really what you were trying. I don't think he was at the top of the grocery list when you're going into the offseason. And so I think AD's comments are 100% true of, we're not a championship team right now. Something needs to change. And I think it brings us to a bigger question of, can LeBron, you got AD as a superstar, you've got Russ as a former superstar, Melo, same boat. But you've got LeBron on this team, and the question really becomes, can LeBron right the ship? You're assuming they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, probably.
Just because of, the
sheer star power.
Yeah, they have the capacity to win games that they need to. But then again, we saw last night against a really, really sorry franchise in the Minnesota Timberwolves.
They're starting to pick it up. I'll give them a little bit of credit. They got a lot of young talent.
Even still, that's not a team you want to lose to, especially at home.
Yeah, definitely.
So the question is when will they turn this around? When will LeBron insert his dominance and insert his leadership into this team to get them maybe not to a championship level, but certainly to a contending level? Because you'd like to think, if you have your healthy 5 in the postseason, you could take a run at this. But right now, that's not the product we're getting from the Los Angeles Lakers whatsoever.
Yeah, no, this is a really, really poorly constructed roster. I mean, they don't look like a good NBA team. Russell Westbrook was not the right addition. They had a chance to go trade for Buddy Hield from the Kings, and they didn't take advantage of that. They went for the wrong guy, Russell Westbrook, and the guys that are playing in that trade, Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell, have been phenomenal in Washington. The Wizards are an actual good basketball team. They're
atop the East.
They're atop of the East. They look phenomenal. And then you look at this Lakers team that is extremely poorly constructed. And I've seen on Twitter, Laker fans are blaming Frank Vogel for the problems. No coach in the NBA is making that team a good championship caliber team. Relax, Laker fans, please. This is a terribly constructed roster. If you're blaming anybody, blame Rob Pelinka for constructing, not ruining that roster, but you
certainly
got LeBron.
Certainly
not
improving.
No. You got LeBron and AD who are paint-centric players, guys who like to get to the basket. You're supposed to surround those guys with shooters, and Dennis Schroeder might not have been the best fit, but he's certainly a better fit than Russell Westbrook. That's a poorly constructed team, and look at their wins. Their most convincing win is a 13-point win against a Cavaliers team. That is good, but they're not great. Look at the teams that they've lost to. Embarrassing loss to the Timberwolves last night by 24 points, and it was way worse. If you look at that box score, they got outscored 40-12 in the third quarter. That's pretty bad. You look at their 2 losses to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They blew 20-plus point leads to a rebuilding Thunder team whose best player is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a phenomenal player, but who's their second best player? Who is it? Lou Dort? Come on, let's be real. I'm sorry, but like, you should not be. If you're the Lakers, I don't care that it's 13 games of the season. You should not be losing those games. The Lakers don't have a closer right now, and the fact that they're relying on Russell Westbrook to pull up 3-pointers with the game on the line. If you look at that Heat game, I know they won, but they won because Tyler Hero cannot make a clutch shot. They won in spite of that performance down the stretch. Russell Westbrook taking pull-up threes. When Carmelo Anthony, who's hot, is wide open at the top of the key, hitting his shots. He's their best shooter on the floor. Give him the ball. Melo has the clutch chops. We all know this. As a Knicks fan, I've seen Melo do it game in, game out. I know this is a 36, 37-year-old Carmelo Anthony. He's still your best clutch option. Why are you taking a pull-up three with Russell Westbrook, who's notably not a good shooter? This is a poorly constructed team, and yeah, I don't think they make it past the first round of the playoffs.
I think
AD's comments about them not being a championship team right now, obviously not. But then even when I look into the future, and I see the Warriors, which we talked about, and how well they're meshing and how well they shoot, they're the definition of a modern basketball team. This Lakers team is old, and I don't see them challenging.